think we already have a few people. Yash.
Yeah. Good morning, Apuia. Yes, from Khel Now this side. So, Apuia, I have my first question for you is, you made a big move from Northeast United to Mumbai this season. So, how would you sum up the first two matches and how has been your experience playing for Mumbai until now?
Yeah, it's a new challenge for me playing for the new club, and especially Mumbai City. They want to keep their title, and it's a big challenge for everyone who is here. And we win the first match and lose the second one, but it's normal in football. Sometimes you lose and win, and what is more important is how we come back for the next match.
Thank you, Apuia.
Thanks, Yash. Anand from Sportskeeda. I hope your mic's working today.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I hope you can hear me.
All okay.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Apuia. I just wanted to ask you, like you said, after a win in the first game, last game was a slightly disappointing result. So I wanted to ask you what the conversations in the dressing room been between the players, between you guys and the coach about how you can bounce back in the upcoming game.
Yeah, the last match, as a team, we are not playing well, and also the result was not good. So we are working on where we can improve. Like we need to have more shots or finish the game while we can, and not conceding silly mistakes like penalties, and the things they are good at, like when they have throw-ins and all that time. That is the main part where they can hurt us, and we're working for it, and hopefully we can win the next match.
Thanks, Anand. Harsh,
Thank you.
You have a question?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, Apuia.
Good afternoon.
You've been playing with Ahmed Jaho in the midfield in the past two games. How has that experience been? Because he's one of the best midfielders in the ISL. So, how has it been for you, and have you learned anything from him?
Yeah, not only him, everyone in this club, everyone is a very good player, and I have a lot to learn from everyone. Not only Jahu, or everyone is a good player, and I learn a lot from him, especially playing with him. I hope we have a good partnership throughout the season, and his confidence with the ball and all, his calmness, and it's make easier to play with him.
Thanks, Harsh. Shashwat, you have a question?
Yeah, good afternoon, Apuia. You can hear my voice?
Yeah, good afternoon. I can hear you.
Yes, so for the past few seasons, you've been playing at Northeast United and you did very well over there. So now coming into Mumbai City, you obviously talked about there are new challenges. I would want to ask a little more specifically what exactly those challenges are, because the styles of both teams are very different. So how do you adapt, and how do you especially adapt when you have a very, very few time in the pre-season?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult for me. As you said, I was with the national team and not having enough time, and I got injured with the under 23 teams, and I'm not having a lot of time with the club, and it's a little bit difficult, but it's a part of our life and football players, so I need to adapt anyways. And the style of play and all is a little bit different from where I have played, and but I think it's a perfect fit for me, and I think we can do well, and I don't feel like it's a difficult task for me, since the way I want to play, and the way the club, the coach wants us to play is similar, so I think there is not much problem for me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shashwat. Guys, if there's any further questions for Apuia, give it a few seconds. You can put your names in the chat box. Yeah, I see Apurva raising his hand. Apurva, just request you to put your name the next time, but you can ask a question.
Yes, I have a question for Apuia. Hi, Apuia.
Hi.
And my question is to you, what is the experience with working with the coach? Des Buckingham, and do you have any individual goals this season? What are those?
Yeah, of course, working with Des is a great opportunity, and working with him, we are having lots of experience working with the same age of us, and he knows exactly what to do with the players, and I improve a lot, and my individual aims will be like I really want to win the ISL trophies. That is my personal aim, and also the aim of the club. So it's the same aim from both sides, and trying to have more assists or some contribute more for the club. That will be my aim.
Thanks, Apurva. Any more questions, guys? Otherwise, we'll move to the head coach. Don't see any hands raised. Okay, thank you, Apuia.
Thank you.
Shashwat, I can see your name first.
Good afternoon, coach. Hard luck on the defeat last time out. So I just wanted to ask you about ATK Mohun Bagan. Usually for the past few seasons, they've been a team content to score one goal and then sit back. This season, they have completely turned it around. So when you're preparing for such an opposition for whom you have only a couple of games evidence, how do you actually prepare for it?
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone on here firstly. Good to see you all. In terms of ATK, yeah, we've watched their first couple of games, and they have recruited extremely well, again, to add to the squad that they had last year. And they've been very exciting to watch, especially in their attacking play. I've had the pleasure of working with the likes of Roy Krishna, and they have others as well. But again, I'll come back to what I said in the previous two games. It's not so much about them, it's making sure that what we do is what we want. So we need to prepare ourselves both in possession and out of possession to face another good team, and that's what we've been working on the last 2 days.
So if I can continue on from what you said, how you're concentrating on yourself. So one feature that I have personally observed in the first two games is that you've been wanting to press the ball high up and press it very quickly to gain possession. These things have led to a couple of goals as well against Goa and Hyderabad. So is this going to be a feature of how Mumbai City is going to play throughout the season, or was it done specifically for the opponents that you faced earlier?
Yeah, we'll have a different game plan for different teams, but part of our style and what we want is not just in possession and different ways of playing with the ball. It's very important that we're very structured and organised out of possession, and that's part of our style as well. So for some teams, if we feel that pressing teams will get us more success higher up the field, then we'll do that. But we also need to factor in the amount of games that we do have in short spaces of time and the physical demands that are placed upon players when we ask them to do that. So to answer your question, it'll be different for different teams, but out of possession and how we want to work is very important to our style of football.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shashwat. Anil, you have a question?
Hi, coach. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Coach, just want to know, like, how do you motivate your team, after a loss, and also like during the game, like say after 13 minutes or something, the team looked slightly lost, if I may say. What do you tell your team at that time?
Yeah, this team doesn't need any motivation. This team won the league and won the double last year. There's no motivation needed here. They're very experienced players. So in terms of what do I tell them during the game, if you said they looked a little bit lost, we've had 60% possession. We've played over 400 passes. We've created 7 what I'd define as goal scoring moments throughout the game. So if they look lost, then they can still do that. I'm happy with that, because I feel if we approach games in that manner more times than not, we'll certainly come away with more results.
Thanks, Anil. Yash from Kelna.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, Coach. Yash from Khel this side. Coach, in the last game, what do you think went wrong? Like, you scored the first goal, you dominated majority of the first half, but then in the second half the tables turned. So what do you think went wrong?
Yeah, it's the same as I said afterwards. I thought it was a very good game, first half especially, against a very good Hyderabad team, and that's exactly what we expected. And the difference in those types of games are making sure that you take control of key moments. And we had some very good key moments in terms of goal scoring, especially when it was 1-1, which we didn't take advantage of. And even when we were trailing 2-1, we had some big moments in the game, and we didn't score, and that's what decides games at this level, and that's the external measures that we are judged upon. So we won't get carried away with that. We're in the same place that this club was this time last season after 2 games, but it's important that we do make sure we're a little bit more effective in those final third areas.
Coach, just a follow-up question. Any injury concerns going into tomorrow's match?
No, we're actually in a better space than we were in the last one. So Mandar has been nursing a slight injury, so hence his non-involvement in the last couple of games. So he's now back and available for full selection. Roland, who picked up a slight injury during pre-season, we've been trying to get more minutes into him as well, so he now comes back into contention to start. And otherwise, everyone else is okay, with the obvious exception of Vignesh, who unfortunately got injured in the first game of the season.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck for tomorrow's game.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yash. Anand.
Yeah, hi Coach, good afternoon. I just wanted to ask you, like you said, you did dominate a lot of the game against Hyderabad FC and the result was a little unfortunate. But do you think getting a result like that, where you were the better team for large swaths of the game but not getting the result in the end, do you think getting a game like that earlier on in the season is better than it happening sometime later when the game's a little more crucial and then, like you said, coming at a fast pace?
Yeah, I think you have to put it into context. There's been a lot of change at this football club over the off-season, both player-wise and staff-wise. And I think getting off to the start that we did was, you couldn't have written that better. But the expectation is that we continue to play a certain way, and it would be great to win every game 3-0. But everybody knows that's not the reality of football. So when you put it in the context of whether it's possession-based football or it's attacking football, the result is important. But it's the way we go about the result. And I'm convinced if we continue to play the way we have in the last 2 games, that we'll come away with far more results than not by changing our style.
Thanks, Anand. Apurva.
Hi coach, good afternoon. And my question is, you have 2 games under your belt and you are approaching the biggest game probably this season. And what are the improvements you think that you have to do in the coming games?
We just have to continue getting better. If I'd have felt at any point over the 2 games that we'd been outplayed or we hadn't performed, like I said, you put it into context, which is we are in the same place that we were this time last year as a club, and you put it in context where we've won the first game 3-0, and even in the game that we've lost the second, we've only played 2 games, so it's a long journey. But we need to approach every single one as important as they are, regardless of the type of year. There's only 20 games in this league. So we need to try and prepare players as best as we can for each of those. So in terms of whether or not it came at the right time, I wouldn't like them to come at all. But preparing for this game, we won't change too much, and it's for me it's clear to see that the team are starting to get better, and I'm hopeful that the results will start to reflect that as well.
Thanks, Apurva. Shahid.
Yeah. So I was just saying that the ATK coach, Antonio Abbas, he's been associated with the ISL for a long time, and one of their players, Yuko Bumu, has obviously been with Mumbai City last year. So how do you kind of, preparation for a match, how do you counter these kind of individuals who are going to be involved as opponents in the next match? How do you kind of work things out tactically, technically? Okay.
Yeah, the same. We approach the game the same way that we would approach any other game, and that's looking at what we think the opposition will do, and then also the personnel that they have within their teams. We're very aware of Bumus, but he is one of 10 outfield players that they do have. Like I said, I've seen and I've worked with the likes of Roy Krishna, and I think they've struck up a fantastic relationship to start with. But it's important that we focus on us and how we want to approach the game and how we want to play, and that includes how we want to play out possession as well, and that will be very important for this game and all the games for the remainder of the season.
Harsh, you have a question?
Yeah, hi coach, good afternoon. My question is, do you think your plans and strategies for the Hyderabad game was affected by the fact that you had to play a very strong opponent in the next 4 days, and if yes, then do you think it had an impact on the result of the game?
No, we'll select the team based upon quite a few things here. Based upon performances from previous games, based upon the wellness and the data that we have off the back of games, and also looking not too far forwards, but with the amount of games we have in a short space of time, we need to make sure we have the best team on the field for each of those to try and perform the way that we want. So, no, I think the play in the first game was good for us because it showed what we can and what we're capable of doing. And the second game, we showed large parts of that again in the second game. We just didn't come away with the scoreline. So I think looking into this game, if we can continue on the performance, we talk about passes and possession, but it needs to be effective possession and effective passes, and add that final piece, which is that finishing. I'm convinced we'll be able to take that on in game 3 and game 4 and 5.
Thanks, Harsh. Anant, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly ask, it's early doors in the season obviously, but all the teams have played 2 or 3 games and the league slowly starts to be picking up, so I wanted to ask what your assessment of the other teams in the league has been so far and where you think Mumbai City is at this point in time.
Yeah, I think it's probably too early to answer that question. I think after 5 or 6 games we'll get a bit of a clearer picture over a longer period of time. You know, the games are coming thick and fast, and the interesting thing over the next couple of weeks is going to be how people manage their squads, and that's certainly something we're aware of. But again, in terms of, we've only played 2 games, same as most other teams in this league. So I think if you're okay to ask me that question maybe in 3 or 4 games time, I'll give you a better answer than I've just given you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anand. Guys, if there's any further questions for the coach, we'll just wait for a few seconds. Harsh, as always.
Yeah, so coach, last game, quite a few players, if I can name, Bipin Singh was having quite a rough game, and we saw that he went on to play the entire duration of the match. Do you think is there a lack of option or depth on the bench, or was it your trust in the player which convinced you to put him on for the entire game?
No, it's the trust in the player. I mean, I'm fortunate where I get to see the players, not I won't say for 24 hours a day, but for long periods of each day and for every day. So it's the trust that I have with the players. You know, obviously Bipin gave away the penalty early in the game, so the reaction to that's very important. And it will be important for his development to make sure that he stays within games in those moments. But very much the trust in the player to play their way back into a game and add. And if you remember the second half, you know, there's a moment where Bipin breaks down the left-hand side and doesn't quite get his ball cut back in time for eagle, but that could have been the difference between us coming away with the result. So he was in the game, but no issues with squad rotation or management should there need to be that either during games or after games. And I think you'll start to see a bit more of that over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. All the best, coach, for the next game.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harsh. Guys, again, no further questions. You can call time. Alright, I think that's about it. Thank you so much, coach.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.